In the midst of a mysterious night, where every star is like a key unlocking the door to untold secrets, we embark on a journey to explore the sorrowful cry of the night. The whispers of the past and unhealed sorrow echo through every hidden nook of Roslyn Hall, promising to reveal a dark yet deeply inspiring tale. Prepare to immerse yourself in a realm where pain and redemption intertwine, ushering in a new chapter of faith and hope. Tonight, the journey begins with secrets long concealed, waiting for those daring enough to listen. Are you ready to delve into the depths of untold mysteries with African Tales? Don't forget to subscribe to the African Tales channel. Once upon a time, in a land steeped in sorrow and rich in legend, where the souls of African Americans were honored and cherished, there lived a ghostly tale passed down through generations, the tale of the sorrowful cry of the night. More than merely heart-wrenching sounds echoing through the darkness, this story seemed to gently remind us, with a quiet yet commanding power, that no matter how deeply the past is buried beneath the sins of old, those wounds must eventually be healed with genuine emotion and true atonement. As night fell, the atmosphere around the ancient mansion slowly slipped into a state that was both tranquil and mysterious. The cobblestone paths winding around the house, warmed by the soft glow of a pale moon and shrouded by drifting veils of mist, appeared as though they were recounting their own stories. Every stone, every piece of weathered wood seemed to serve as a silent witness to the joys and sorrows, the unspoken secrets of countless generations gone by. The time-worn wooden doors, their surfaces faded by the passage of time, whispered reminders of how fragile memory is and of the enduring nature of legend. Here, in this sacred enclave on the outskirts of Alabama, where every alley and every corner exuded the spirit and deep-rooted soul of African American heritage, a strange phenomenon had seeped into the minds of all who had heard it. Every night, as the atmosphere grew eerily still, the sound of a baby's cry would resound throughout the mansion, as if reciting the tragic tale of an ancient calamity. Miraculously, though that sound persisted, not a trace of a child could be found within the mansion's halls. Those cries served as mysterious fragments of the past, encapsulated in every tear, carrying the hidden pain and dark memories that only time could gradually reveal. It is precisely this contradiction between presence and absence that painted a picture both gentle and chilling, a picture that sent shivers down one's spine with every thought. Each cry served as a reminder of what had not been made whole, of silent yet searing transgressions that had haunted through the years. Though these sounds spoke no words, they brimmed with the power of a plea for forgiveness, with the sighs of a past that could no longer be concealed. Imagine yourself standing before the door of an ancient mansion, where the dim light of an oil lamp casts long wavering shadows upon cold stone. You hear echoing footsteps through the corridors, the wind whistling through narrow gaps, intermingled with the wordless cry of a distant soul. Each sound tells a story, unsealing a fragment of memory from far-off times, where past and present interlace in a marvelously mysterious way. In that space, every tear shed by history narrates the tale of souls that cannot be forgotten, of ominous curses for which a price must ultimately be paid. They say that in every room, every hidden nook of Roslyn Hall, where tradition and legend entwine, there forever remains a fragment of memory that will never fade. The nighttime cry is like a symphony of sorrow, of faith that has dimmed and of a fragile hope. It is the confession of souls once alive, of hearts that once loved, and of those who never had the chance to say goodbye. They silently linger within every wall, behind every door, awaiting the moment when justice will finally be served. When you pause to listen in the dead of night, to feel the gentle yet haunting melodies that fill the air, you may come to understand that the sorrowful cry of the night is not merely a legend, It is a song of atonement, a reminder that every wound, no matter how deep, must be mended with love and forgiveness. Let us now step into this world of myth, where the fragments of the past are reassembled, where every tear and every whispered word carries the message of an era long past. Roslyn Hall is an old mansion that sits quietly along a winding, secluded path, where soft clouds drift by on gentle breezes, as if walking through time, hidden within the historic outskirts of Georgia. In this space, the spirit of the African-American community still resounds through every street and every hidden corner of daily life. The mansion stands like a timeless painting, where every stone and every piece of weathered wood tells the story of generations past, of quiet yet weighty memories forged by history's sorrows. Before the grand entrance, an age-worn wooden door, its surface intricately carved as if whispering secrets of time, stands as a silent testament to dreams and beliefs, encapsulating within its faded beauty the mix of joy and sorrow experienced by countless souls. Inside, faded paintings adorning the walls, much like the soft light of early twilight, bear witness to a plethora of memories. Each brushstroke, each line forming a fragment of the past, a shattered remembrance collected amid the present. Traversing narrow, dim corridors, where the muted glow of an oil lamp quietly graces the space, the flight of stairs descending into the basement appears as a path leading into the very depths of the mansion's heart. There, every detail, from damp walls to cold, unyielding stones, seems designed to evoke stories long faded with time, to hint at dark events that no words could ever fully explain. The patterned designs on the walls, the traces left by hands long gone and worn smooth by years, seem to yearn to tell their tale, a lament from the past, a hidden burden of anguish and secrets buried within the darkness of a bygone era. Each night, when darkness falls over every corner and a penetrating chill seeps into every crevice, the sound of a baby's cry echoes throughout the house. Despite the fact that not a single child is seen within its halls, these cries wind their way through every door, every hidden nook of Roslyn Hall. They rise like a mournful symphony, a sound that seems to carry within it all the unhealed pains and unatoned transgressions of a time long past. Although these cries bear no actual words, they wield the power of a plea for forgiveness, a sigh from a history that can no longer be concealed. Imagine standing before the door of this ancient mansion, where the faint light of an oil lamp casts long, wavering shadows upon cold stone. You hear footsteps echoing through the corridors, the wind whistling through narrow gaps, all intermingled with the voiceless cry of a distant spirit. Each sound unfolds a story, unsealing a fragment of distant memory where past and present interlace in a marvelous mystery. In that space, every tear shed by time narrates the story of souls that cannot be forgotten, of curses so dark that no words can ever fully atone for them. They say that in every room and every hidden corner of Roslyn Hall, where tradition and legend blend together, there lives a piece of memory that will never fade. That nightly cry is like a requiem of sorrow, a mournful testament to lost faith and to a hope so fragile it seems on the verge of shattering. It is the confession of lives once lived, of hearts that once loved, and of those who never had the chance to say goodbye. These souls linger in every wall and behind every door, waiting for the moment when justice can finally be done. And so, when you pause in the stillness of night, absorbing the soft yet haunting melody that fills the air, you may come to understand that the sorrowful cry of the night is not merely a legend. It is a song of atonement, a reminder that every wound, no matter how deep, must be healed with love and forgiveness. Step into the world of this myth, where fragments of the past are pieced together, where every tear and every whispered sound carries the message of an era long gone. On a drizzling night, when the air seemed to be immersed in the stillness of darkness, and each gentle raindrop created a sound like the whisper of nature. The night descended over everything. The old house stood silently cloaked in a shroud of mist, its only sounds the wind whistling through its aged, creaking doorways, drawing out melancholy strains amid the cold expanse. In that setting, another sound gradually emerged, resonating like the lament of long-forgotten souls, the crying of a baby. These were not cries of joy or the comforting sound of happiness. Rather, they were soft, sorrowful laments of tiny souls enduring the pain of concealment and neglect. Within that damp veil of night, Lamia, the new daughter-in-law in a prestigious family, cloaked in dark secrets, lay heavy on a bed wrapped in exquisitely crafted, classic fabrics. Although her eyes appeared still, they betrayed subtle signs of unease, as though her very soul quietly yearned for something that transcended the limits of the present. In that moment, when all around existed only the subconscious murmur of darkness and the sound of the wind howling outside, Lamia sensed with clarity that tonight was no ordinary night. Something lay beyond the grasp of rational explanation. The sound of crying echoed incessantly through the labyrinthine corridors and the mansion's basement. It seemed not to emanate from one particular source, but rather as a soft summons from the past, a call from homeless spirits pleading for recognition of their unhealed sorrow. In those mournful notes lay the weight of forgotten memories and burdens of secret grief that time has failed to erase. That incessant crying stirred within Lamia a sensation both mesmerizing and frightening. A feeling that, within the dark recesses of this old house, not everything was as dignified as it appeared. Inside the elegant room where Lamia sat, seeking to calm her own turbulent emotions, the persistent cry from the basement rose like an irresistible summons. It was as though a gentle whisper from the past, the voices of souls long abandoned, yearning to be heard, echoed through the dim light that filtered through the curtains, in each fragile ray of light and every choked note carried by the wind. It was as if a story was being told. The story of long-buried secrets, of human hearts concealing hidden darkness, and of wounds that have never been mended. In that silent house, it is said that in every room, in every hidden corner of Roslyn Hall, where tradition and legend intertwine, there exists a fragment of memory that will never fade away. The nightly cries are like an elegy of sorrow. They are the voice of memories laden with tearful regret that cannot be expressed in words, yet they reverberate in every breath of the night. And so, as you quietly wander through its corridors and hear the echo of your own footsteps across the worn wooden floor, you will feel the pulse of history. You will sense the very breath of ancient souls whose stories lie hidden here, stories not fully captured by language, tales of loss, of the darkness of memory, of wounds that have yet to heal. In every cry, it seems that an entire world of yearning souls, hoping for solace, for comfort, for liberation from the burden of time, awaits their moment to be heard. On that drizzling night, amid the cold, unyielding rain and the sorrowful cries of infants mingling with the lonely howls of the wind, Lamia gradually came to understand that sometimes the truth and the beauty of the past is hidden within the most delicate of sounds. These sounds, like the murmurs of eternal souls, remind us that no matter how much is concealed, the past will always find a way to echo through each note of time. On a drizzly night, when the atmosphere seemed to sink into the stillness of darkness, and each soft raindrop created a sound like nature's own whisper, the night descended over everything. The old mansion lay quiet beneath a cloak of mist, with only the wind whistling through its ancient creaking doorways, drawing out sorrowful strains in the cold expanse. Amid that setting, another sound gradually emerged, as if it were the lament of forgotten souls, the crying of a baby. These were not cries of joy, nor did they carry the fragrance of happiness. Instead, they were soft, mournful laments of fragile souls enduring the pain of being hidden and forgotten. Within this damp, shadowed night, Lamia, the new daughter-in-law of a once revered but now deeply secretive family, lay weighed down on a bed draped in exquisitely crafted, luxurious classic fabric. Although her eyes remained outwardly calm, they betrayed subtle hints of unease, as though her very soul was silently yearning for something beyond the confines of the present moment. In that instant, when all around her there was nothing but the subconscious murmur of darkness and the wind's lonely whistle, Lamia sensed clearly that this night was not ordinary, that something was amiss beyond the reach of rational explanation. The sound of crying echoed persistently through the labyrinthine corridors and the mansion's basement. It seemed not to originate from any one specific source, but rather as a soft summons from the past, a call from souls with no home, pleading for their hidden sorrows to be acknowledged. In each note of that cry lay the weight of long-forgotten memories and the anguish of burdens that time could not erase. That very sound stirred in Lamia an emotion both mesmerizing and terrifying, a feeling that, within the dark recesses of this mansion, not everything was as dignified and imposing as it once appeared. Within the refined confines of the elegant room where Lamia sat, quietly trying to steady her troubled heart, the persistent cry from the basement rose up like an irresistible invitation. It was as if the soft whispers of the past, the voices of abandoned souls desperate to be heard, had spoken through the dim light filtering through the curtains. In each timid ray and every choked note of the wind, it seemed a story was being told, a story of long-buried secrets, of hidden sins, and of wounds that have never been allowed to heal. Inside Roslyn Hall, it is said that in every room, in every shadowed corner where tradition and legend merge, there remains a fragment of memory that will never fade. The nightly cries are like a mournful symphony, a lamentation of lost innocence, of faded hope, and of a yearning that time can never fully silence. They are the silent confession of lives once lived, of hearts that once loved, and of those who never had the chance to say farewell. These echoes persist along every wall and behind every door, waiting for the moment when the truth will finally be unearthed. As you wander quietly along its corridors, hearing the sound of your footsteps on the worn wooden floors, you might feel the heartbeat of history, sensing in every breath the presence of those ancient souls whose stories lie hidden here. These sounds are not merely cries, they are the whispering confessions of long-silenced guilt, of secrets veiled behind a veneer of grandeur. Every tear that trickles silently along a forgotten corner, every echo of a cry, bears witness to a past that, no matter how thoroughly concealed, will always find a way to resound in every note of time. Slowly, Lamia's footsteps led her into a darkened room where the feeble light seemed utterly incapable of dispelling the shroud of the past. In that moment, as she entered the cold space, it was as if her very heart suddenly stopped, its beat pausing amid a storm of chaotic emotions. The room appeared like a lost fragment of time, where everything outside lay motionless, yet within it lay a secret that stirred the human soul with each throb of unspeakable horror. Before her unfolded a grim scene, a dark tableau that defies easy description. In the midst of gathering shadows, an old stuffed doll emerged, its faded appearance a testament to memories that refuse to fade no matter how many years have passed. Every line etched upon the doll's face seemed to recount a dreadful tale from the past, of unending pain that could never be soothed. Beside the doll, the fragile skeleton of Jamil, the adopted younger brother once quietly hidden away by Nora, the woman known as his stepmother, lay motionless, a bitter reminder of ancient sins and past transgressions. In that moment, each second stretched endlessly, with time seemingly burdened by sorrow and deep injustice. Lamia felt profoundly that right before her eyes, she was witnessing a dreadful truth. A secret buried beneath layers of greed, deception, and decisions so cruel they defied imagination. The space, redolent with the musty odour of bygone eras and chilled by the cold touch of ancient stone walls, stood as silent witness to a dark story that only pain could explain. As Lamia's eyes gradually adjusted to the darkness, something strange happened that made the horror of the moment even more palpable. The doll, which until then had appeared as nothing more than a forgotten plaything, suddenly seemed to come to life. Its fabric eyes slowly opened, revealing a cold, pitch-black glare, as if silently condemning the past, a wordless indictment of long-concealed sins. That mesmerizing, inexorable look left every reminder of injustice and every hidden guilt seemingly etched into Lamia's mind. The atmosphere in the room transformed in an instant, growing thick with the choking weight of secrets long buried. Everything around appeared to fall silent, yet in that silence the exhaled sigh of a bygone era resonated, as if whispered by forsaken souls, by tiny hearts denied justice. Every weak beam of light from the oil lamp, as it danced across the damp floor and fell upon the doll and the brittle bones of Jamil, painted a portrait both grim and haunting, rekindling memories of bitter loss. Standing in that chamber of long-hidden histories, Lamia felt that every detail, from the faded surface of the doll to the cold, fragile remnants of Jamil's skeleton, carried a message. It was a message of retribution, of a debt to be paid for what had once transpired. The weary sigh of time echoed through every corner of the room, as if the space itself were a tragic novel, each page written in the tears of souls and the whispered laments of the past. In that profound silence, the dark eyes of the doll seemed to open a door to a truth that could no longer be concealed, a truth of ancient evil and unforgiven guilt, carved into history by both pain and injustice. Lamia stood there amid the buried memories, gradually understanding that life can never be completely erased, no matter how many years pass. Through the dense layers of recollection, the past has found a way to speak out. And in that fateful moment, the pain, the injustice, and the brutal cruelty of time were brutally exposed. A truth no words could ever fully soothe. In that instant, Lamia knew that she was not merely witnessing a fragment of the past, she was facing the very essence of horror itself, the cruel decisions that had imprisoned another's soul. Every detail of the room, from the doll with its awakened eyes to Jamil's cold, lifeless bones, testified that no matter how long the truth is hidden, it will eventually force its way into the light of justice and reckoning.
Lamia's footsteps slowly carried her into a dim chamber, where the feeble light seemed utterly incapable of banishing the shroud of the past. In the very moment she set foot into that icy space, it was as if her heart inexplicably halted, its beats suspended amid a storm of tumultuous emotions. The room appeared as a momentary loss of time, a place where everything outside lay silent and still, yet within its depths dwelled a secret that stirred the human soul with every pulse of unspeakable horror. Before her, a grim scene unfolded, a dark tableau that defies easy description. In the gathering gloom, a worn, stuffed doll emerged, its features faded by the relentless passage of years, evoking memories that refuse to fade no matter how many seasons have come and gone. Every contour on the doll's face seemed to recount a terrible story from the past, a narrative of pain that could never be soothed. Next to the doll lay the delicate skeletal remains of Jamil, the adopted younger brother, quietly concealed for so many years by Nora, the woman known as his stepmother, a bitter reminder of ancient sins and past transgressions. In that moment, every second seemed to stand still, as if time itself was burdened by sorrow and injustice. Lamia felt, deep within, that she was witnessing a dreadful truth, a secret buried beneath layers of greed, deceit, and decisions so ruthless that they defied comprehension. The room, redolent with the musty odor of ages past and chilled by the cold touch of time-worn stone, served as a silent witness to a dark story that only anguish could explain. As her eyes gradually adjusted to the murkiness, something uncanny occurred, intensifying the horror of that moment further. The doll, which had until then appeared nothing more than a forgotten toy, suddenly exhibited signs of a miraculous animation. Its cloth eyes slowly opened, revealing a cold, pitch-black stare, as if silently proclaiming an unutterable truth, a wordless indictment of the past, affirming that every deceit and every secret long concealed would ultimately face the judgment of history. The atmosphere in the chamber seemed to shift in an instant, growing oppressively dense with the choking weight of long-buried secrets. Everything around her appeared to fall mute. Yet amid that silence, the long, heavy sigh of a time gone by echoed softly, like the whisper of forsaken souls, of tiny hearts deprived of justice. Every frail beam of light from the oil lamp that trembled upon the wet floor, illuminating the surface of the doll and Jamil's brittle bones, wove together a sorrowful portrait that both haunted and compelled remembrance. Standing there amidst the memories that had been interred for so long, Lamia realized that every detail, from the fading visage of the doll to the fragile, chilled remnants of Jamil, carried its own message. It was a message of retribution, of a debt that must be repaid for what had once transpired. The languid sigh of time echoed through every crevice of that chamber, as if the space itself were a tragic epic, each page penned in the tears of lost souls and the hushed laments of the past. In that profound silence, the dark gaze of the doll appeared to open a door to truth, a truth that could no longer be hidden, an indictment of ancient evils and unforgiven guilt etched by pain and relentless injustice. Lamia stood there, among the interred memories, understanding that life can never be completely erased, no matter how many years pass. Through these layered remnants of recollection, the past has found a way to speak out, and in that fateful moment, the agony, the injustice, and the brutal cruelty of time were laid bare in a manner that no words could ever fully soothe. In that instant, Lamia knew she was not merely witnessing a fragment of the past. She was confronting the very essence of horror, of those ruthless decisions that had imprisoned another's soul. Every detail of the chamber, from the doll with its seemingly awakened eyes to Jamil's cold, silent bones, testified that no matter how deeply the truth is hidden, it will eventually resurface in the light of justice and retribution. Between the past, the very realm where every secret is etched into the furrows of time, lies the key to understanding the origin of this haunting curse. In those nights, steeped in intrigue and false promises, one can glimpse the figure of Nadira, a woman whose gentle appearance belies a soul so cruel that no words could ever soothe it. Though Nadira appears graceful and refined on the surface, she has long concealed a dark secret for which her family has paid a heavy price, a secret of such viciousness that it has forever stained her legacy. For years, hidden beneath the dignified facade and the family's formidable power, Nadira locked away a brutal truth within the walls of Roslyn Hall. She not only hid her lies, but also the very faith and cherished love that people had in the purity of life. Yet every lie, even when wrapped in the most elegant guise, remains a fragile veil in the face of the inexorable weight of truth. The skeletal remains of Jamil, her beloved adopted younger brother, a boy whose innocent smile and dreamy eyes once embodied hope, became a living testament to Nadira's cold tyranny. Alongside him, the old doll, once a mere plaything, now transformed into a symbol of concealed sin, slowly assumed the role of an unyielding witness to the unspeakable crimes and the merciless concealment that Nadira chose in place of compassion. In the dark nights of long ago, the image of Nadira seemed to be animated by the flames of memories past. Even during family meals, when everyone gathered around a warm dining table, Nadira would offer a cold, calculated smile, her eyes harboring a secret known only to herself. Amid the jovial chatter and the comforting atmosphere of reunion, subtle flashes of that bleak, bygone past would seep through. a montage of sorrow that did not belong among the happy scenes. Only those who had endured profound pain could perceive the bitter contrast between her refined exterior and the sins buried deep within her heart. On that fateful night, when the weight of honor and power pressed upon her, Nadira made a ruthless decision to protect her status. She chose to hide a brutal truth, the wrongful death of Jamil, a child who deserved to know happiness. That callous decision, executed in the icy moment of merciless cruelty, forced the little boy's remains to be secreted away into a dark, hidden corner of Roslyn Hall. And there, the doll was placed as an ancient emblem, a silent declaration that all hidden crimes, all devious conspiracies, were the root of the impending collapse. This doll was not merely an inert object, it became a living testament to the false promises and to the secrets that Nadira had buried deep, with the hope that they would never see the light of day. The image of Jamil, in the blurred recollections of the past, reappeared with a pure beauty, his innocent smile reflecting that of a child untainted by the duplicity of life. The stark contrast, so painfully drawn, only served to intensify the brutality of the decision that Nadira had made. These moments, like a sorrowful symphony contrasting the beauty of childhood with the darkness of sin, have haunted all who have heard them, rendering Nadira's curse all the more chilling and indelible. From that night onward, Nadira's curse was etched into every stone and every wall of the mansion. Each night the woeful cry of Jamil, like the lament of a soul yet to be redeemed, echoed throughout Roslyn Hall. That cry was not only the anguished cry of a lost child, but also a desperate plea from an unjust past, a call from sins that Nadira had silently imprisoned within her heart. The very atmosphere of the house grew heavier with each passing night, as if every tear and every weary sigh of time testified to the inescapable price of that brutal truth. And in that breathless silence, Roslyn Hall seemed to come alive with the presence of long-departed souls. Every cry, every whispered note carried by the night wind was inscribed onto every stone, a reminder that no concealment can last forever. No matter how many secrets are buried, the past always finds a way to emerge through the silent chords of time. In that moment, Nadira stood, caught between the interplay of light and shadow, with eyes meeting the unyielding force of truth emanating from the living doll. She could not escape the cold, accusatory gaze that bore into her, a gaze that seemed to pronounce that all deceit, all those dark secrets long hidden, would ultimately come to light. In those long, agonizing moments, it was as though everything around her fell mute, with only the heavy sigh of history and the echo of silent accusations to bear witness, witnessing that every hidden transgression, every concealed injustice, must eventually answer to the relentless judgment of time.
Long ago, when it seemed that every secret was destined to remain forever, buried in the darkest recesses of the past, those long-hidden truths now rushed forth, demanding retribution for every mistake and every sin committed. In a quiet chamber where every speck of dust and every crack on the wall appeared to breathe the very essence of history, Lamia stood witness to a scene in which all the memories that had been interred suddenly surged like a tidal wave. Before her, the old doll, symbolizing ancient transgressions, unexpectedly opened its cloudy, half-lidded eyes and pointed a tiny, accusing finger toward Nadira, the woman who, with a graceful and refined exterior, secretly harbored sins so deep that they defied forgiveness. This scene was not merely the revival of a forgotten toy, but rather the exhalation, the sorrowful lament of a past weary of pretense. In moments that seemed frozen by time, as the soft light from a flickering oil lamp danced across the space, it set ablaze a torrent of overwhelming emotions. It was a moment when every secret, every lie of yesteryear could no longer remain hidden, but instead was laid bare in a public indictment, a reminder that the truth always finds a way to break through the veil of darkness. Lamia, her face etched with both anxiety and resolve, stood like a witness to a miraculous transformation of time. In the shimmering lamplight, her eyes reflected a painful awakening from memories long suppressed, as though proclaiming that she was now ready to confront every hidden truth and every recollection that perhaps only she had truly experienced. In that charged silence, the soft glow of the lamp revealed the layers of time, dust and the crevices of ancient walls, along with the scattered fragments of forgotten memories. That light was not merely a timid shine. It was a herald of justice from the past, a promise that no matter how much is hidden, what has occurred will never be completely concealed. Amid the monochrome hues of darkness, each slender beam of light emerged as a piece of an old story, revealing that no matter how valiantly one tries to cover it up, what has transpired can never be entirely erased. Then, in a fateful instant, the sound of a crisp tush-shish suddenly rang out, shattering the long-held veil of this dark curse. That sound resounded as if it were the cry of time itself, the whisper of a past that refused to remain silent, declaring that justice is never forgotten and that every secret, no matter how deeply concealed, will one day be exposed by the relentless passage of time. Each quivering note and every fleeting second seemed to imprint upon the air a solemn vow from fate, that every deed, every sin or betrayal must eventually account for what it has sown. In that space, Lamia could feel the power of truth emanating from the many souls who had endured indescribable pain, from hearts that had once been robbed of their belief in fairness. Standing amid the interplay of light and shadow, every step of hers became a silent promise to confront the past, to reclaim her identity, and to forge a future founded on the bedrock of truth and courage. Thus, in that fateful moment, as the past and present converged, a collision of light and darkness, truth and deceit, everything melded into a sorrowful symphony of faith and atonement. And from that moment onward, a quiet yet powerful message echoed through every stone of time, that truth can never be permanently hidden, that every secret must eventually pay its price in tears and in the voices of souls that refuse to remain silent. In that fateful moment, when the heavy atmosphere that had enshrouded the entire room suddenly broke free from the oppressive stillness of the past, a strange sound rang out, a delicate tush-shish, as if nature itself were whispering, announcing a liberation after years of suffocating darkness. That sound was not merely an empty echo, but a sign of transformation, a key unlocking a door to a new reality, one in which the long, dominant shadows gradually receded to give way to the radiant light of truth. In an instant, everything around began to change. The dense darkness slowly faded, replaced by soft ribbons of shimmering light that flitted through the air like butterflies. Every ancient object and every trace of the past, once hidden beneath layers of dust and time-worn cracks in the walls, suddenly appeared alive and dreamlike, as if they too longed to be reborn. The space within the room seemed to stretch and reassemble itself into a surreal tableau, one that was both dazzling and hazy, where the union of past and present formed a symbol of justice paid in full. At that moment, Lamia, witness and living testament to this extraordinary transformation, felt a surge of liberation coursing through every strand of her hair and every cell in her body. She understood that this was not only a moment marking the public unveiling of past transgressions, but also an opportunity for the captive souls, burdened for so many years, to finally be set free. An instant when the ancient pain no longer had the power to haunt the present. Every feeble ray from the oil lamp crept into hidden corners, delicately brushing against cold stone surfaces, and in doing so, traced faint patterns across the walls, patterns that spoke of a past that could no longer be completely hidden. Those subtle beams were more than weak sparks. They were signs of justice from a bygone era, a promise that, no matter how deep the concealment, the truth would always find its way to the heart. In that frozen moment, every soft glimmer of light emerged like a fragment of an old story, reminding all that regardless of how forcefully one might try to cover it up, what once occurred will never be entirely erased. Then, as if to shatter the silence that time had so carefully constructed, the sound "to-shish" echoed once again, a sudden, decisive note that broke through the long-held silence. That sound seemed to cry out from time itself, like the whisper of the past rising up to declare that justice is never forgotten, and that every secret, no matter how deeply it is buried, will ultimately be revealed by the unyielding march of time. Every trembling note and every suspended second seemed to imprint upon the space a solemn vow from fate that every deed, every lie once concealed must ultimately answer for what it has sown. In that atmosphere, Lamia felt the undeniable power of truth emanating from all the souls who had borne unbearable sorrow from hearts that had once been stripped of their hope for justice. Standing there amidst the interplay of fragile light and encroaching darkness, she realized that each step she took was a silent promise, a promise to confront the past, to reclaim her true self, and to build a future founded upon truth and courage. Thus, in that decisive moment when light and shadow, truth and falsehood, past and present converged, all became intertwined in a melancholic symphony of faith and atonement. It was a moment that whispered, through every crevice of time, that no secret can remain hidden forever, that every hidden sorrow and unspoken cry must eventually pay its due in tears and in the voices of souls that refuse to be silenced. In that dim chamber, where darkness seemed to vie for control over every corner, a gentle yet commanding figure emerged, as if a miracle had risen from the ocean's deepest depths. It was the mermaid Azalea, a name as soft and laden with tenderness as the murmuring of a boundless sea. Azalea stepped into the room like a living embodiment of life itself, carrying with her the breath of hope and the warmth of compassion, as if determined to dispel the fragments of the past. The soft glow of the oil lamp still scattered its feeble light into the hidden recesses, but now that light no longer seemed strong enough to conquer the shadows that had once enshrouded the soul of the space. As Azalea drew near, everything appeared to change in an instant. The glimmering specks of light and the dense darkness slowly faded away, replaced by a vibrant tableau of rebirth. With eyes that shone like precious gems, skin as smooth and clear as crystal, and hair that flowed delicately on the breeze, the mermaid evoked an image both dreamlike and mysterious, a vision that transported onlookers into a realm where memory and reality blurred into one. Azalea was not merely a symbol of old legends or ancient myth. She stood as a living testament to the power of forgiveness and renewal. No matter how shadowed the past or how deeply the mistakes of old have left their unerasable marks, the light of compassion has a way of spreading. In that brief moment, her presence affirmed that every soul, no matter how forgotten or how lost hope may seem, always has a chance to return to life. Azalea gently reached out her hand, as if embracing the entire universe, inviting those souls long shackled by guilt to finally be liberated from the burdens of sin. As she moved through the room, the aging walls of Roslyn Hall, once silent witnesses to bitter memories and brutal lives, suddenly appeared to be bathed in a newfound vitality. The old, worn surfaces of the walls shimmered faintly, as if recounting the story of a bygone era filled with regret and failure. Yet under Azalea's gentle gaze, every old wound seemed to heal. The echoes of past anguish gradually dissolved away with the ceaseless flow of time. Every soft beam from the oil lamp, though timid, now carried with it a message of forgiveness, that no matter how deeply past transgressions are buried, they will eventually yield to the transformative power of compassion. In the interplay of shadow and light, each delicate ray became a fragment of an old story, revealing that no matter how valiantly one may try to hide what has occurred, the truth, can never be completely masked. In that decisive moment, as the faint light mingled with the lingering darkness, Lamia understood that this was not just a call from the past demanding retribution. It was a fervent call to all those souls imprisoned by former sins. Every hidden lie and every long-silenced secret was being swept away by a rejuvenating current of energy, the energy of hope, of justice, and of redemption. And as each faint beam of light from the lamp caressed even the coldest stone, it became a testament that every concealed sorrow would one day give way to truth. Standing amid that miraculous transformation, Lamia felt her heart race with both trepidation and hope. She realized that in every measure, every step forward was a silent promise to confront the past and reclaim one's true self, a promise that even after the darkest night, the dawn of a new beginning is always possible. Azalea's presence had reawakened the energy of rebirth, urging those once lost to find meaning in every breath, in every step, and to forge ahead into a future built on the unyielding foundation of forgiveness and truth. As the first light of dawn slowly seeped through every crevice in the dark, the cold confines of Roslyn Hall were gradually awakened, as if the ancient stones and time-worn walls were rousing from a long, somber sleep. That light was not merely the herald of a new day, but also a promise of justice, a reckoning for every hidden sin that had been buried for so long. In that scene, Lamia, the courageous daughter-in-law who had dared to step into the shadows of a painful past, stood by the dark basement door, where secrets that had been locked away for years were finally exposed under the light of truth. With a heart brimming with determination and eyes set with unwavering resolve, Lamia appeared as a living witness to the power of courage and belief in justice. She was no longer just a bystander. She had become a symbol of the confrontation between past and present, a reminder that even the oldest sins, however veiled by fear and falsehood, cannot escape the inexorable judgment of time. Every step she took into the gloom of Roslyn Hall felt like a silent vow, a promise that every haunting sorrow and every shattered piece of a human soul would soon be cleansed by the revealing light of truth. It was said that within this very house, every stone and every fragment of wood seemed to hold a piece of the past, tears shed by souls who had borne immense pain, and the cries of children echoing like the laments of hearts that could never be soothed. Amid these echoes, Lamia vowed that she would free all the souls imprisoned by the dark curse, returning justice to those who had suffered at the hands of silent transgressions of old. She understood that in every shadowed corner of Roslyn Hall there lay a story, a deep, unhealed pain that needed to be recognized and mended. Outside the basement door, the light of dawn continued to expand, painting a magnificent picture of brightness contrasting with darkness. Every faint ray, slender yet potent as if woven from fine threads, managed to tear apart the thick veil of sorrow and injustice, revealing a promise of new beginnings. Everything around, from the time-worn walls to the previously hidden corners, seemed to merge into a symphony of forgiveness and rebirth. In that radiant convergence, the once mournful cries gradually fell silent, making way for gentle songs of peace and for hope in a bright future. In that almost timeless instant, Lamia fixed her gaze into the endless expanse beyond, as if every shattered fragment of the past were being embraced by the warm light of truth. She felt deeply that even though hidden sins might have shattered other hearts, the justice, a quiet flame that dwells within each of us, would never allow those wrongs to hide forever. Nadira, the stepmother whose unyielding guilt could no longer be masked, would now find that no matter how much one tries to conceal the past, it inevitably resurfaces to claim its due. Lamia's presence was like a bold declaration that all ruthless deeds and every hidden conspiracy must eventually face the judgment of time. The music of the ages resounded in the soft sighs of the wind and the gentle yet overwhelming sounds of nature, intermingled with joyful voices celebrating newfound freedom. It was the song of belief, a song of beginnings emerging from deep sorrow. In that atmosphere, those forgotten souls and the burdens of unsaid pain were gradually liberated and returned to life. Every laugh, every word that rang out became a hymn of healing, an ode to the kindness that dwells in every heart. Lamia stood at the doorway of the basement, her eyes reflecting the passage of history, silently promising herself that she would not abandon any soul yearning for peace. She vowed that no sin, no hidden sorrow could remain buried forever once the light of truth had been unleashed. And as the dawn's light gradually replaced the lingering darkness, every secret and every scar of the past would be laid bare so that forgiveness and repentance might serve as the wellspring for a future brimming with promise. In that stirring moment, amid the interplay of light and shadow, truth and falsehood, past and present, Roslyn Hall seemed to be imbued with a new spirit, a fresh beginning for those who had borne innumerable pains. The once sorrowful cry of children, which had echoed the lamentations of a tormented past, was gradually replaced by songs of hope, of peace, and of joy, resonating along with the eternal flow of time. This was not merely a transformation of space, it was a metamorphosis of the very soul, a renewal of faith in justice and new life, marking a firm step forward on the long road to reconciliation and peace. Welcome to African Tales, where each story is not only told but also felt with the heart, where the value of truth and kindness is depicted in every brushstroke of both past and present. Tonight, we follow the journey of Lamia, a courageous daughter-in-law who has chosen to brave the darkness of the past in order to face its hidden memories and explore the unending quest toward the light of faith and hope. Within the venerable walls of Roslyn Hall, an old mansion where secrets have been buried for generations, a dark past and ancient curses have long silently threatened every soul. Yet, through Lamia's courageous journey, we witness a powerful confrontation. One between the lingering shadows of unatoned sins, between the mournful cries of forgotten souls, and the longing to be redeemed by the light of forgiveness. With steely eyes and a heart filled with determination, Lamia has overcome numerous obstacles and vowed that not a single soul shall be forgotten. No sin will remain hidden beneath the dark veils of secrecy. As the camera gently pans across evocative scenes, we see the resolute expression on Lamia's face, her eyes carrying the weight of a tumultuous past, along with a spark of hope for a brighter future. She stands at the threshold of the basement, a place where every stone and every weathered panel is imbued with the memories of suffering souls and echoes of unshed cries. There, Nadira, the stepmother whose very presence bears witness to decades of concealed sins and deceptions, stands rigid, unable to escape the probing light of justice. Nearby, an old doll, once just a forgotten toy, remains as a living symbol of past transgressions, silently reminding all that the past never truly falls silent. Into this tapestry of sorrow and remembrance enters Azalea, the mermaid, an embodiment of life and compassion. With gentle grace and an air of quiet power, Azalea appears as if by magic, carrying the breath of the sea, the promise of rebirth, and the warmth of hope. Her presence seems to dispel part of the lingering gloom of the past, inviting lost souls to break free from their bondage and step into the light of forgiveness. This harmonious symphony of images heralds a new chapter for every soul, a chapter of return, of embracing even the deepest wounds, and of striving to rise up to reclaim what was once lost. Tonight, African Tales presents a message that no matter how deeply past sorrows have scarred us, the truth and justice of a new day will ultimately prevail. The cries of forgotten children, once echoing as laments of abandoned souls, are gradually giving way to the joyful hymns of rejuvenation and hope. As we reflect on this, we might ask, will we ever truly learn to forgive the past? Can we, after all the pain and wrongdoing, step out from the shadows and reach for the liberating light of freedom and authentic happiness? The sorrowful cry of the night is not only an epic of sins and atonement, but also a heartfelt call to all of us, a call to confront and overcome the inner darkness so that we may build a future filled with hope and radiance. Lamia, Nadira, Azalea, each character, each image, forms a vital thread in the rich tapestry of this story, interweaving sorrow with a steadfast belief in human resurrection. Every step, every precious moment in African tales opens a new door, drawing us closer to an enduring truth. No matter how dark the past may be, the light of forgiveness and compassion is always ready to shine, to warm our hearts, and to dissolve even the deepest shadows. With African Tales, you are not merely a listener, you are a companion, a witness to the passage of time, a soul yearning for truth, and a believer in a brighter tomorrow. So, let us reflect together. Have we ever truly forgiven our mistakes so that we can step forward onto a path toward genuine freedom and happiness? This is the message that the sorrowful cry of the night brings. A call for all of us to embark on the journey of rediscovering ourselves and, in doing so, to build a future illuminated by justice and compassion. As the sky slowly began to open up, thin rays of dawn seeped through the drifting billowy clouds, and the space that had once been immersed in the bone-chilling cold of the night at Roslyn Hall suddenly burst forth. As if a new chapter were unfolding, one of healing and atonement. It was as though, after countless nights filled with sorrow, that ancient mansion was finally finding the heartbeat of truth and justice once more. In the tender glow of early morning, Lamia, the brave daughter-in-law who had dared to touch the very depths of pain and sin, stood by the door of the dark basement, where those long-concealed secrets and the tears of the past were gradually yielding to the promise of rebirth. Lamia's journey was not merely a confrontation with past mistakes that had weighed heavily upon her spirit. It was an affirmation that every soul, no matter how shattered by suffering, deserves to live bathed in the light of truth and justice. She understood that only by embracing the past and forgiving herself could one truly open one's heart to a future brimming with hope and freedom. Within the storied walls of Roslyn Hall, every weathered stone and every time-worn fragment of wood seemed to whisper the tales of souls who had endured agonizing nights of injustice and unatoned guilt, a reminder that no matter how deeply evil has been shrouded, it will ultimately be held accountable by the inexorable march of time. Outside, images of the vibrant African-American community in Texas came to life along long tree-lined streets echoing with laughter, joyful voices, and a steadfast belief in a brighter tomorrow. These familiar neighborhoods, where hard-working and warm-hearted people had risen above countless storms, stood as living testaments to the enduring spirit of community, compassion, and unity. They were the ones who had turned hardship into the determination to thrive, to create a place where justice, forgiveness, and solidarity were values that could never fade. Let us reflect then that today's story is not solely a cautionary tale meant to awaken us to the plight of those lost in the darkness of sin. It is also a gentle summons inviting us to rediscover ourselves amid our most trying moments. Every step in Lamia's journey is a precious lesson about the necessity of confronting the past, of possessing the courage to forgive both ourselves and others, and of weaving together the tattered threads of broken hopes into the radiant tapestry of a new, promising future. When the remnants of our mistakes and sorrows are rejoined by the threads of faith, a brilliant new dawn will emerge to illuminate the path of every weary heart. Imagine yourself standing amidst the ancient corridors of Roslyn Hall, where every stone and every crack murmurs with the laments of the past, and then, as if by magic, the light of dawn delicately infiltrates every hidden crevice, banishing the gloom. It is in that moment that each one of us, no matter how deeply wounded we may have been, receives an invitation to return to our truest selves, to be liberated from the chains of guilt and pain. This transformation stands as a testament that no sorrow is eternal, and that no soul is ever truly forgotten. African Tales believes that these stories are not merely to be told, but to inspire us, to help us realize that in every tear shed, in every cry from the past, lies the power of forgiveness and the strength of compassion. The tale of the sorrowful cry of the night that we have shared today carries this message, that no matter how many hidden sorrows have been stowed away, the light of truth and justice will ultimately prevail, guiding us toward freedom, happiness, and a future filled with belief and hope. And now, I invite each of you, friends, family, and community members across the United States, to join us on this journey. If this story touches your heart, please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to African Tales so that together we may spread the message of hope, justice, and the enduring power of kindness. Prepare yourselves, for the next chapter of this remarkable journey will reveal mysteries yet untold, new, surprising chapters in this wondrous tale. Together we will delve even deeper, feel the real essence of life's true values, and learn how, from the ashes of our past, we may build a future radiant with love and light. Thank you for joining African Tales today. We look forward to traveling with you on our next adventure, where each legend opens a door into a world of mystery, genuine emotion, and an everlasting faith that never fades.